Hi, we're back. It's Just Ask the Question. I'm your host, Brian Karen. With me to discuss today's wonderful press conference in the White House briefing room and the wonderful theological and Christian things done by Professor Donald Trump is John Fugelsang of Sirius XM, and he has a show there. John, I'll let you plug the show, but you also have a book out that The Separation of Church and Hate, which is why I have you on to answer a couple of these questions. First of all, when can we catch you on Sirius?
Thank you so much, Mr. Karam, and hello to your deeply attractive audience. I'm on Sirius XM Progress 127, 5 nights a week. Prime time, 9 to midnight East Coast, 6 to 9 on the West Coast. We are also a free podcast every day, the John Fugelsang podcast, if you don't have Sirius XM, which is like highlights of last night's show. And we're mostly politics, but we throw in celebrities and rock stars and movie stars and stuff like that all the time, too. And then my book is called Separation of Church and Hate, A Sane Person's Guide to Taking Back the Bible from Fundamentalists, Fascists, and Flock-Fleecing Frauds, on sale September 9th from, it's on sale now, in stores September 9th from Simon & Schuster's Avid Reader Press, and that's a guide to using the Bible when you're dealing with a Christian nationalist or fundamentalist in your job or your government or your social media feed.
Speaking of government, so today, Donald Trump came out and said he's going to end the scourge of violent crime in Washington, D.C. that doesn't exist, but nonetheless, he's going to end that scourge of violent crime by going after teenagers that he describes as hooligans and thugs, and he's going to break up homeless encampments and kick the homeless out of D.C.
Yes, it's all brilliant, yes.
He told us this. He
Yeah.
brought up Caroline Leavitt, his press secretary, I call her the PEP secretary, who, adorned in her wonderful Christian attire, including the cross, came out and supported him for this effort.
Yes,
How
of course.
Christian is it to kick the homeless to the curb and go after teens?
I think you need to understand that Jesus was about one thing. You got to help the poor by punishing them with greater poverty. Okay, this is really the essence of Christianity. If you see someone suffering, you've got to do everything you can do to make their suffering much greater, increase their pain in this lifetime, because that'll make them a better person, and then they will stop being poor. Okay, so this is take notes now. This is Trump Christianity, folks. You have to be as cruel as possible to the least of us, so they'll stop being poor, or they'll stop being sick, or they'll stop being immigrants. It's an atrocity, and this is exactly what we should expect from people that are this terrified. Here's the deal, okay? A guy who had cops in D.C. beaten for a lie is promising to reduce crime in D.C. In other words, they are this terrified, Mr. Karam. That's really the only story. They are redistricting all over Texas and trying to gerrymander in the middle of a decade, 15 months before they are this terrified. He's threatening Rosie O'Donnell, take away her citizenship, even though she's already left the country. He's going to fire Jerome Powell, but by the end of the day, he says he's not. They're releasing these Dr. King files at 2 a.m, even though the family said, please don't. They are terrified. The more distractions they throw up, the more people are recognizing this is the playbook. Trump floods the zone. He is a media master. His mouth is a tennis ball launching machine, and every bullshit is a bouncing yellow ball. The media are the dogs who chase down every single bouncy ball, whether they're good or not. But we're recognizing more and more every day that this is all just a tidal wave of bullshit meant to spin the narrative away from Epstein. And for the Republicans, it's meant to spin the narrative away from how destructive these tariffs are going to be really freaking soon. I mean, Brian, what do you think? This D.C. is a much smaller town than L.A. was. They were much more spread out in L.A. It's much more concentrated here. This is going to happen for a few weeks. It's going to be a big embarrassment. Crime is already down in D.C., and gradually, when this does not help him in the polls, they will, because these are Americans, National Guard, they're people leaving their jobs to do this bullshit, they will gradually go back to their homes, and they will slowly dissipate the deployment, and the story will quietly disappear. I think this is just happening now to get us liberals really angry to dominate the beginning of the news cycle this week, and it will be ancient history by Thursday.
Well, I hope you're right. I have spent 30 years living in the district, and I can tell you I've never felt unsafe. Donald Trump made it sound like there was riots in the street. In fact, he panned them,
Yeah.
pandemonium, chaos.
Yeah.
Those are words he used.
Who's this for? Is this gonna reach more than 33% of the
Yeah.
population?
No.
Because he's still campaigning for his own base. He's
Yeah.
still campaigning, playing the greatest hits really loud just for his own base.
Well, and he said today about the police, they've been uh, they've been hemmed in before, so do whatever in the hell they want.
Yeah.
It's time for dramatic action. We will
There you
bring in the
go.
military if we need. They fight back until you knock the
Again.
hell out of them. That's the only thing they understand. They love to spit in the face of the
Yeah.
police. They're screaming at them and spitting at them. You spit and we hit real hard.
So here's the deal you got to remember, okay? Donald Trump doesn't pay taxes. We do. So we, the taxpayers, are going to be the ones paying the class action lawsuits for all the people who are abused by cops because Donald Trump told them to do it. We, the people, Brian, are going to be shelling out billions for decades in class action lawsuits for all the innocent people who were illegally kidnapped and tortured and deported to foreign gulags without a hearing. I mean, Andre Romero's back, Mahmoud Khalil is back, Rumieza Ozturk is back. There's a lot of folks like this. These are just the most three famous names. Kilmar Garcia. Can you imagine, long after Donald Trump has left the White House, we, the taxpayers, are going to be paying the class action lawsuits for all of this abuse? All of it. This is all this guy, like Netanyahu, trying to keep himself out of jail and throwing as much crap at us as we can possibly handle. And we just got to knock them down one at a time, stay calm, recognize there's more of us, and let this movement build because they are this scared already, Brian.
Yeah, 200 days in, and we have 1,258 days left to go. And our
Maybe.
countdown to liberty,
Well,
Donald Trump's reign of
see.
terror continues.
You think Trump is going to make it that long?
No, I don't. But and here's why. Having covered him very closely in the first administration, he's not the same guy he was then.
Yeah.
He's working about 3 days a week at best. So he came out for an hour today. He did a briefing after golfing 2 rounds of golf over the weekend. He came in on Monday to do this. He's leaving midweek to go to Alaska. And Donald, you're not going to Russia unless you're giving Russia Alaska back. But Donald today said he was, made the mistake of saying he's going to Russia. He's going to Alaska later this week to talk to Putin. So he's not going to work, and we'll have one briefing. This is the least active president I've ever met. And to the point, in his first administration, when Dr. Ronnie came in and gave us his, and said that Donald Trump would live to be to 200 and he's in great shape, the thing I always remind everyone is I was standing next to Sanjay Gupta, and at this point in time, Donald Trump gave us a lot of info. So I'm looking through the physicals and the info that he gave me, and I'm not a doctor, but my dad had heart disease. And as I'm reading this, I'm going, gee, this looks like the same stuff my dad had when they diagnosed him with heart disease. And Gupta said, yes, this man has heart disease.
Yeah.
That was 7 years ago.
Yeah.
You don't get better. So
No, I know,
all those
I know.
hamburgers, long story short or long story longer, I don't think he makes it. But do we want JD, I like couches and permanent eyeliner Vance in as president?
It doesn't matter. See, I get what you're saying, and I recognize that Donald Trump's arteries are doing what they came here to do. I get
Yeah,
it.
hard.
But I've started to take a different approach towards this, Mr. Karam, which I mentioned to you a couple days ago. We keep thinking about when are these MAGA folks going to wake up? When are these non-millionaires going to wake up and realize? And I've said for a long time, the only way these non-millionaires will ever wake up is if Trump wears a shirt with the words Black Lives Matter on it. Unless he does that, they will never, okay? The people of Germany had to see Berlin in rubble before they realized they had been conned by a very charismatic authoritarian dick. I've realized, I think, Brian, it's not about when are the non-millionaires going to break up with him. It's when are the billionaire oligarchs going to break up with him, because there is a timeline that's emerging. And the people who own this country, the landlords of this country, Donald Trump is the guy who stands in front of their velvet rope and keeps the poors from entering, but he's not one of them. He owns golf courses some of them play on occasionally, but he is not an oligarch. The people who own this country are done with him. Here's why. They've gotten everything they need out of him. They got their budget, the largest transfer of wealth from the 99% to the top 1% in the history of this country. They got their deregulation, and their industries can now poison our children's air and soil and water much more freely. And the week after that happened, they got their crypto loophole. They got that deal signed. And a
Yeah.
lot of guys are going to make a lot of money off of that. So what happened, Brian? Within 48 hours of the crypto deal being done and the ink was dry on both deals, what happened? An actual oligarch, Uncle Rupert Murdoch, publishes in that left-wing rag, the Wall Street Journal, Donald Trump's birthday card to Jeffrey Epstein. Now, Rupert Murdoch didn't have to do that story. He sure didn't do it on Fox News that day, did he? Isn't covering it much on Fox News at all, yet. But in the Rupert Murdoch property the grown-ups consume, he did it. He torched him. He didn't have to, but it was right after the budget and the crypto bill, so Trump turns around and sues Rupert for $22 billion. Now, this is laughable, right? Donald Trump will drop this lawsuit before he gets to discovery phase. He will never go through with the lawsuit because it really was his goddamn card to Jeffrey Epstein.
Unless,
so Rupert,
of course, they settle with him. But yes.
Right. Well, that could be it. But this is Rupert Murdoch. Will he settle like CBS did? I mean, CBS, by the way, they fired Colbert, but they knew that South Park was airing 12 hours before the deal got approved. They just did it under the wire. I almost respect that they did it first. But Rupert Murdoch, when Trump sues him, and what does Rupert do? Does he capitulate? Does he make a deal? No. The next day, he releases an article that Pam Bondi told Trump he was in the Epstein files in May, and Trump was lying to all of you when he said it was a hoax and he wasn't going to release it. So that's how Rupert Murdoch, that's how one of our top oligarchs is treating this guy now that the ink is dry. Brian, I am pushing this theory that this is like a Bond villain pushing a button that says delete asset, because at this point, his value is done, and they could do just as well with J.D. Vance or one of the Bushes, doesn't matter which one. And from this point on, and if you're a Republican in the House or Senate, think about this. There's folks that come down from the mountains to vote for Mr. Trump from the TV. Or folks from the swamp that'll come in to vote when Mr. Trump from the TV's on the ballot. They don't come when he's not on the ballot. They didn't come in 18. They didn't come in 22. They ain't coming next year because his name ain't on the ballot. How much can he can still harm them. How much can Donald Trump still help them? The oligarchs are cutting him loose, and the next year is going to be a very slow process of watching the Republican Congress cut him loose as well.
Well, I
very
think
slow, but it's going to begin because they're all about selfishness. They're all just like Trump. They only believe in themselves. They only care about themselves. They will cut him loose the way they cut Bush and Cheney loose.
if they don't see anything in it for them, I agree with you. And having interviewed a lot of these people over the years, they are all about them. Nothing.
Massey doesn't need it. Like Massey's showing, like, hey, I don't need this guy's vote, so I'm going to come out and tell the truth.
Yeah, and Comer, has done a little bit of that. But what's frightening to me about it is that today in his press conference, and taking it back to that, it's all about avoiding. This is just another avoidance.
All of it.
Yeah,
all of it.
Brought to you by the Roy Cohn School of dealing with shit.
Have you forgotten the Epstein files, Brian? At any point in that press conference, for what was the longest what was the longest stretch of seconds where you weren't thinking about the Epstein files during that press conference? Did you make it to 10 seconds not thinking about it?
No. And I was pissed off because my colleagues didn't ask. I can't get in there, and my colleagues will not ask the question.
That's why they're in there and you're not.
Yeah, I agree with that, but the disappointing.
They're terrified of journalists. They need winged monkeys.
And they've got plenty of them in there. They have deballed, declawed, and defanged the press. And at the end of the day, it started out with a guy who said, basically their questions are reduced to, can you tell me why you spout rainbows out of your butt? You're such a great guy.
Yes, I know. And by the way, like when Ken Burns is going to have to do a 700-hour-long documentary about this whole Trump period, but I can't wait for someone to do a documentary just about your world, just about the White House press room over these two different terms, and how, he found someone who made Sarah Huckabee Sanders look like Gandhi. He did it. He made her look great. It's just the amount of dishonesty and the rewarding of mediocrity. There may be nowhere where this man's insecurities and fallibilities are more evident than in the White House press room. It's just amazing, like the fear of actual follow-up questions.
Well, their inability to speak honestly, their inability to confront facts, and our inability to hold him accountable, to me, is the biggest sin it's one of the things that allow him to continue to profit.
Oh, he's going after Obama, though. He's going after Obamagate. Did that make you forget Epstein?
No,
He's,
Obama. Oh yeah, today he blamed Obama, Biden, Kamala Harris, teenagers and homelessness for the problems in D.C.
like Brian, his polls are so low, and he's only auditioning for his own base. He's not trying at all to reach beyond that 33%. He's not,
No.
or 32%. He's not trying. Like,
I don't think he can amount. Do not think. I think he will probably expire before the end of his 1,258
oh,
days.
I want him to live a long time.
I do
Long
too.
time.
But I think he's not planning on, with the rejiggering of the and he's turned the Rose Garden into something that looks like it looks like it's from Mar-a-Lago, but it's really looks like a cheap, Holiday Inn.
It looks like a metaphor hanging itself is what it looks like. It's just insane. The
And
ugliness that he spreads.
Oh, it is. And then this big ass ballroom, and my dad used to say, if you've got that much gold around, you look like you're from a cheap whorehouse in New Orleans.
Oh my God, the White House looks like an Iranian nail salon from the 70s. But again, all of this just shows, guys, please, please, please remember, they are terrified. They know how this ends. It doesn't end well for him, and they all know it. And when we were younger, there was old people who defended Nixon still. Nixon wasn't bad; he just got caught. Remember how much they hated us when we told the truth about Bush and Cheney in the Iraq War, and they were so loyal to Bush and Cheney. They don't defend Bush and Cheney now. They don't. Yeah. They hated us for telling the truth about Bush and Cheney. They don't defend Bush and Cheney anymore. When we get past the selfishness of Trump and his craven cabinet, and all these Republicans are all just out for themselves, and they'll believe anything and do anything just to get power for themselves, well, that extends to their voters. That lack of empathy extends to their vote base as well, and their voters will not be loyal to these people. There's people in 10 years, Brian, and you know this, who will deny that they ever voted 3 times for Donald Trump.
Hell, after the next election, they'll deny that.
They will. I did the first time, but that was it.
How do you get elected? I don't know.
They will deny this guy 3 times before Stephen Miller crows. You'll see.
And now for
that's a joke because Stephen Miller's a cock. Thank you, folks. That's my political material. I'm sophisticated. Here all week.
Try the veal. So, all right. So, John, I thank you for being here for this. Where can we catch you again?
Every night on SiriusXM Progress or the John Fugelsang podcast. Every morning I have a Substack. My book is called Separation of Church and Hate, and I'll be on tour, hopefully in a town near you, for the rest of the fall. So please check out our book. And thank you, Mr. Karam, as always. I love what you do.
Oh, thank you. And I love what you do, John. Thanks for being with us once again. This is Just Ask the Question in our 7th year. Want to thank everybody who listens and tunes in, and we will catch you next time.